Good morning friends and dear students. Today we will talk about consumer rights of consumer. Who is a consumer? Consumer is any person who buys or hires any service, buys any goods or product for their use, for their consumption, for any performing any kind of work. If you hire any service or if you buy any product, you are considered as a consumer. But we know that the rights of consumers have always been taken for granted. They are taken for granted by the product manufacturers, sellers, vendors, etc. Then why their rights are taken for granted? Why you don't get the goods of your choice? Why you don't get the price of your choice? Why don't you get the service, quality of service which you intend to hire through any person? That is the place where rights of consumers are violated. So friends, I think the lack of awareness amongst Indian consumers are the main reason behind violation of consumer rights, because manufacturers, sellers, they know that consumers won't take any measure, any action. For that, let us know the rights of consumers first. What are the main rights? The Consumer Protection Act was passed by Indian Parliament in 1986, which has ensured 6 main consumer rights. First, right to safety. So if you buy any product or hire any service, you have every right to be safe, that the product should not be toxic, the method of use of product should be explained properly, the service which you hire should not be harmful for your health, for your life, for your environment. So safety is the first right which every consumer has. Second right is right to be informed. We should be informed about the quality of the product, date of manufacturing, expiry date, the marketing agency, and each and every details. If it is any edible product, its quality, its ingredients should be explicitly explained, and also it should bear a license from the authorized authorities like FSSAI license, ISI mark for other products, non-consumable product. In services, when you hire service, for example, you are taking any tourism package, so there should not be any cheating. Instead of they offer you a package of 3 days 2 nights, instead of giving you that, you just end up getting 1 day 1 night or 2 day 1 night, like that, and you feel cheated. So right to be informed about the service, quality of service, its rate, the service providers details, the duration of services, everything should be informed to the consumer. Right to choose is the third important right, that every consumer can choose any product or any service of their choice. They cannot be forced, they cannot be compelled to buy any particular product only, or they cannot be compelled to hire a particular service only. There has to be a competitiveness, there has to be an ample option available to the Indian consumers. Fourth right is right to be heard. In case if you are not satisfied with any quality of any goods or any service provided to you, you have every right to seek redressal, meaning you can approach the competent authorities like consumer forums, consumer courts, to recover your loss, to get damages. So that is the right to be heard. Right to redressal. Right to redressal is connected with your right to be heard. When your grievances are not heard properly by the authorities, by the product manufacturer, service providers, then you can file a case in the consumer court, in the consumer forum, and there you will get a redressal of your grievances, your problem. So right to redressal is another important consumer right. Right to education. Right to education means right to consumer education. So it is the duty of the state, the government and the authorities to promote and adopt various ways to create awareness, knowledge about consumer rights amongst the people, amongst the citizens of the country. It can be done through promoting academic studies, academic research. It can be done through promoting seminars, conferences, advertisements, and various other ways of public information. So these are 6 basic rights of the consumer protection which were enumerated through Consumer Protection Act. Apart from this, there are 2 another important consumer rights, that is right to basic needs. So now you see Supreme Court, WHO, UNO, government, everyone considers that basic needs of every person should be fulfilled properly. What are the basic needs? Roti, kapda, makan. So health, housing, food, education, every person should get it. How governments are delivering it? Like for example, we have Right to Education Act 2009 RTE, which provides free and compulsory education to children between 6 to 14 years age. Right to Food Act was passed in 2013, which ensures that every person who is below the poverty line should get food material like grains, wheat, rice, pulses at very minimal cost or for free. Right to work, we have Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Scheme, under which every person in rural area is guaranteed with 100 days employment. So likewise, there are several rights. Housing, Pradhan Mantri housing scheme, which gives subsidy, which built houses for the poor people, underprivileged people in the country. So these are the methods to fulfill the roti, kapda, makan needs of the people, to fulfill their basic needs. 8th important right is right to safe environment. So every person has a right to live in a safe and clean environment. If there is any disturbance to their natural environment, it is a violation of their rights. Friends, we also know that with the evolution of time, technology changes, quality of service changes, mode of providing of service changes, and therefore we need to change the law as well. We know that after 2000, the e-marketing, internet marketing, e-banking, e-commerce has increased drastically. Today, online shopping, online business, online marketing is the reality of the day. No one can skip from it. Earlier, consumer right provisions were not there to control, to regulate online businesses, e-marketing, e-shopping, e-banking. But later on in 2015, as well as in 2019, consumer rights were amended and these changes were accommodated, and the problems arising out of these business, their transaction, their services have been taken into account for proper redressal. Let us know the latest development in consumer rights. So the Consumer Protection Bill was presented in the Lok Sabha in 2018, which was subsequently passed and it has become an act. The main feature of this bill were, first of all, it has defined consumer in a broader way. A consumer is defined as a person who buys any goods or avails a service for a consideration. Consideration means paying something. You have to pay something. That is consideration in legal language. It does not include a person who obtains a good for resale or goods or service for commercial purposes. Means here retailers, resellers are not considered as a consumer. Only person who consumes or hires, utilizes any service are the consumers. It covers transaction through all modes including offline and online, through electronic means, tele-shopping, multi-level marketing or direct selling. So this has broadened the definition of a consumer by including electronic and e-commerce as well. Now it has retained all 6 rights of the consumer by giving them a broader definition and explanation, as I have just discussed earlier. Now this act provides for establishment of a Central Consumer Protection Authority, CCPA. So now this authority is established to promote, protect and enforce the rights of consumers. It will regulate matters related to violation of consumer rights, unfair trade practices and misleading advertisements. So the CCPA will have an investigation wing headed by Director General, which may conduct inquiry or investigation into any reported violation of consumer rights. So CCPA has got the following functions. First, inquiry into violation of consumer rights, investigate and launching of prosecution at the appropriate forum. So this authority can launch a prosecution after investigation. If it is satisfied, it can initiate a case against violator of consumer rights. Secondly, passing orders to recall goods or withdraw services that are hazardous, reimbursement of the prices paid, and discontinuation of the unfair trade practices as it is defined. So this authority can ask anyone. For example, earlier in the case of Maggi, the products were withdrawn because the ratio of lead was found beyond the permitted label. So in that case also, this authority can ask for withdrawal of any product or cancellation of any services, and it can stop trade also in that particular commodity. Third right is issuing direction to the concerned traders, manufacturers, endorsers, advertisers, publishers to either discontinue a false or misleading advertisement or modifying it. Friends, we know that through television, radio, or through various advertising mediums, we get information about various products and services available for us. Sometimes they are misleading. Like last month, Consumer Protection Authority has punished 2 leading actors for representing a wrong brand of oil in media. Then fourthly, it can impose a penalty which varies from the degree of it, depends up to the level of violation of rights. Fourthly, it can issue safety notices to the consumers as well as to the sellers, to the producers. It can ask for additional guidelines to ensure that all the unsafe and dangerous goods are handled properly. What are the penalties for violation? If there is any misleading advertisement, like if the brand endorsers, brand ambassador, or the advertising making company, or the product manufacturer, or anyone who is providing service gives some wrong or misleading advertisement, the CCPA can impose a penalty on such endorsers or manufacturers up to 10 lakh for a false or misleading advertisements. And in case of subsequent offense, if there is repetition of the offense, then fine may be increased to 50 lakhs. So which is a huge amount. Here manufacturers can also be punished with imprisonment of up to 2 years, which may extend to 5 years for subsequent offense. So in first case of violation, 10 lakh is the penalty, and it can also give 2 years of imprisonment. But if there is repetition, then 50 lakhs of penalty and 5 years of punishment, jail imprisonment, can be awarded to such persons. CCPA can also prohibit the endorsers of a misleading advertisement from endorsing that particular product or service for a period of up to 1 year. So anyone who is representing or giving any misleading ad, they can be stopped, prohibited from giving any ad for 1 year. And for every subsequent offense, the period of prohibition may be extended up to 3 years. However, there are certain exceptions when an endorser will not be held liable for such a penalty. Like if the endorsers in their agreement are given a different detail than that of the reality, then the manufacturer shall be punished, not the endorser. That is the exception. Now, what is the redressal mechanism in this act? So Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission has been established, and It provides that there will be a district, state and national level consumer dispute redressal commission will be formed. So a commission can file a complaint with CDRC in relation to unfair or restrictive trade practices, defective goods or services, overcharging or deceptive charging, the offering of goods or services for sale which may be hazardous to the life and safety. Complaints against an unfair contract can be filed with only the state and national CDRCs, not with the district. If there is any complaint against unfair contract, then state or national CDRC will hear such cases. Appeals from district CDRC will be heard at state level, and all state level CDRC appeals can be heard at national CDRC. CDRC means Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. And final appeal can be made with the Supreme Court of India. Now this act has also defined jurisdiction, what it can cover. So jurisdiction of CDRC is district CDRC will entertain a complaint where the value of goods or service does not exceed rupees 1 crore. In earlier act in 1986, the amount was up to 20 lakhs. Now it is increased to 1 crore, and the state level CDRC will hear a case where amount goes up to 10 crores. Earlier it was 1 crore. And the complaint of value of any goods or service which exceeds 10 crore shall be entertained by national CDRC. So earlier it was 5 crore and beyond. Now product liability is also defined in this act, which is very important, friends. Product liability means the liability of a product manufacturer, service provider or seller to compensate a consumer for any harm or injury caused by a defective goods or deficient service. So if any goods or service is found to be defective or not in good quality, then the consumer can get a reimbursement, a compensation from such manufacturer or service provider. And to claim compensation, a consumer has to prove any one of the conditions for defect or deficiency as specified in the bill. There are conditions which are specified in the bill whereby you have to prove that yes, the goods was actually defective. For example, any quality certificate you can give, or you should retain the bills which you get against purchase of any goods or service. Or likewise, there are several things, and documentation is important. Without document, it is very difficult to prove that your consumer rights are violated. So friends, now to give a comparison of the Consumer Protection Acts which were passed in 1986, 2015 and 2018, we can say that in 1986, National Commission comprises Supreme Court judges and 2 central government officials plus head of the commission to be appointed in consultation with Chief Justice of India. That was the formation of Consumer Commission as per Consumer Protection Act 1986. In 2015, we have made amendment, and now the selection committee under this bill was comprised of Supreme Court judge and 2 central government officials, head of commission to be appointed in consultation with the Chief Justice of India. In 2018, there are no provision for selection committee. Central government will appoint through notification. So now involvement of Supreme Court is reduced. Now central government can directly notify appointment of the commission. At state level, earlier the selection committee comprised of High Court judge and 2 state government officials. Head of the commission was to be appointed in consultation with the Chief Justice of concerning State High Court. In 2015, again comprising of 2 judges of High Court and 2 state officials. head of the commission was to be appointed in consultation with the Chief Justice of High Court. In 2018, there are no provision for selection committee. Central government will appoint through notification. So at state level also, the commission is appointed by central government. At district level, earlier commission comprised of High Court judge and 2 state government officials. In 2015, there was no provision for selection committee. State government could appoint on recommendation of State Public Service Commission. Now in 2018, there are no provision for selection committee. Central government can appoint through simple notification. So this is the Consumer Protection Act. Now friends, to summarize it, we can say that if you are aware, your rights will be protected. If you are not aware, then your rights will be taken for granted, because every manufacturer, every service provider aims at making profit, and therefore they can go to any extent, because there is lack of morality in the business now. Profit has become the central aim and motive. Therefore I appeal all of you to hear this video, get awareness, make others aware, share this video, and create more and more consumer awareness. And if your consumers are aware, then certainly you should rest assured that you will have a better system, better delivery and better service system. NetZack's video सुनने के लिए आप सबका धन्यवाद. Thank you for watching this video of NetZack and Dr. Ravi. Thank you.